This is the Party Poker World Open 6 from the Palm Beach Casino in London. Returning for its 6th season, this major on the poker circuit is back with its most distinguished lineup yet. It reads like a who's who of poker, 48 stars sitting down and locking egos for a chance at the $200,000 top prize. We're already halfway through the heats for this year, and tonight, British poker takes over as the players take their seats. But before we show you tonight's action, let's see what's happened already in the tournament so far.
Oh, that hurts. Okay, I'm gonna rebuy. Marty, give me some chips.
Hey, ahoy! He's on the verge of the final table.
I'm all in. Oh, cool. Cheers, pal.
Feels like a fairy tale story.
Tom Dwan is done for tonight.
Just one more time. One more time. Yes! Victory!
I thought the show was good. Later.
Enough is enough.
Cool.
I'm lags behind.
Duffy makes another televised final.
Let me introduce you to the players for this heat of the Party Poker World Open 6. Starting in seat 1, it's Sam Trickett from the UK. In the 2010 World Series of Poker, he made more money than any other British player and recently final tabled EPT Villamora. In seat number 2, also from the UK, James Akenhead made the final tables for both main events for the World Series of Poker and the World Series of Poker Europe in 2009. In seat number 3 from Ireland, it's Marty Smyth. He's a former Irish Open champion, also has his own Championship World Series of Poker bracelet. In seat number 4 from the UK, Neil Channing, also a former Irish Open champion, recent GUKPT champion, and Mr. Black Belt Poker himself. In our next seat here, all the way from Canada, it's Peter Jetten, and he recently made the final table of the 2010 Aussie Millions. In the next seat here, this is Dan Fleyshman. He's from Malta, and he is the CEO of Victory Poker. And in seat 7, a familiar face on the UK poker scene, Ian the Razor Frazer. He's a former UK Open champion. And in our final seat today, Lee Atherton, also from the UK, and this is a man who managed to convince his boss to give him not just a few days off, but a poker sponsorship as well. And he's here looking for a title. Hopefully he has some good luck. In fact, good luck to everyone here at the table. Let's get the cards in the air.
Ready to sling the cards in this heat of the World Open 6. Thrilled to be joined by the ambassador of poker, Mr. Mike Sexton, who's also playing in this event. Mike, I know you come over here to London a lot, just about every year. This year, does it seem that there's a little more buzz around as far as the young British players and all the success they've had?
Well, there should be because of that success. And I'll tell you, I've been so impressed with a lot of young talent over here in Europe. I mean, terrific poker players over here.
Well, a name we know quite well, Ian Frazer, and a face we know, being a UK and European Open champion, his raises with the Jack-9. Lee Atherton's called the 7,000 with the Ace-Queen.
Well, Marty Smyth calling also with the 2 5s.
I don't know. I was really shocked afterwards.
Neil Channing, now, he's not shy to admit it. He will be surprised if he plays a hand in the first 2 levels. I'll fall off my chair.
Well, flop comes 9-8-7 with 2 hearts. Atherton has a nut flush draw, but Frazer has top pair and a straight draw.
12,000.
Lee Atherton can play this any way he wants. He could raise with the flush draw on the overcards, or he could call. What do you prefer?
Well, a lot of guys with a nut flush draw do raise it right here just to try to win it, where you don't have to catch a card to win the pot. But just take it down here. If they call your move all in, you just gamble with this hand and go for it. He is raised, and now that's put Frazer in a dilemma as to what to do here.
You can look at those percentages right there. Atherton with the 2 overcards and the flush draw is actually a favorite right now, isn't he?
Well, Ian's made the call here. So a nice pot brewing. 4 clubs comes off on the turn. You're sitting in the Ian seat. And your opponent checks to you now.
Check.
That was music to Ian Frazer's ears.
Well, it really was. It's gone check, check here. And now the jack comes off. Even though Ian Frazer has 2 pair here.
22,000.
Well, that's a daring bet, in my opinion. His opponent could have easily had a 10 in his hand here. which would give him a straight.
That had the sniff of a defensive bet, 22 into 83.
Nice answer.
But for Frazer, he takes it down. Once he and Frazer gets going, he is like a snowball, Mike.
I feel you cheering.
I guess, Mike, it is just a factor of how many tournaments there are in the poker world these days. But you were talking about all the hardware. Just in the last 12 months alone, Neil Channing, he's got a GUKPT title, second in the World Series in a bracelet event. You have Trickett, you have Akenhead, Marty Smyth with a World Series of Poker bracelet. These guys are winning things right and left.
If I wake up, I put it up. But he said definitely, you know, for some days where...
Here is Sam Trickett.
Well, Ian has raised it to 6,000. Ace 10 of diamonds.
It's enough anyway, isn't it, really?
Sometimes it's just a little too warm for a
18,000.
Yeah, I know you.
And Trickett is coming over the top with a 10 high here. Real aggression early on by Sam Trickett.
It seems a bit early for a 3-bet. Perhaps it's never too early to be aggressive.
You know he's not really going to give you that.
He will if I get you.
You might get yourself.
Frazer made a tough decision a minute ago. It turned out right for him.
This is about who's the daddy. This is about who's the daddy now.
6,000 total.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. There's nothing Trickett can do here but fold, right, Mike? I mean, he's made his play. It hasn't worked.
Well, he may still want to take a flop here.
Cool.
And he makes the call for 18,000. Now, A, he can possibly hit a flop to win the pot, or B, he can possibly just take it away from Ian by firing again at the pot. Let's see what happens here. Well, Jack, 6 deuce, that's no help for either player.
26.
26,000.
Ian is not slowing down. He's got the pedal to the metal.
This is the schoolyard at dawn. Trickett said, I'm going to put him in his place early. Frazer said, I know you're trying to do that. And now they've got a 100K pot. Nobody's got a song.
Well, Sam Trickett does give it up. He thought about it, Jesse. Just didn't pull the trigger, but
I don't even understand what just happened.
Ian Frazer not being bullied around by these guys, that's for sure.
You young guns may think you've got the game, but I'll tell you what, I've been on top for a long time, says Ian Frazer, and I ain't looking to give that up yet.
Say that again?
You look relieved when I folded.
Pre-flop, I'd have been all in.
Ian Frazer, known as being quite handy at this format. This is something that you do really well.
Yeah, I ain't been bad at it. Got a good record, but the fields are a lot harder now. I think everyone's realised that. I mean, I think every time you sit down now, you're like 6-1 shot. You know, 8-handed. There's no 9-4 favourites anymore. This is probably one of the hardest heats I've ever played in. You know, player-wise. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'd have been all in pre-flop.
Welcome back. Ian Frazer, the pace setter. And, you know, he doesn't mind being the pace setter. He's played so many of these and won. Oh, look at this, Mike.
Raise
Atherton is loving this. He
6,000
picked up 2 queens here.
Well, I'll tell you, I've never met Atherton before, but he's pretty sharp, too. From what I know, he met famous bookmaker Fred Doan in the elevator on the top floor, and by the time they got to the lobby, Lee Atherton had a poker sponsorship. So,
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He's a good salesman then.
I'll check it.
he must be.
That is beautiful.
Okay, check.
Well, Frazer's in danger here of playing every single pot, and he's flopped a flush draw here
10,000.
against Atherton's queens.
Well, we could see some real fireworks in this hand.
Cool.
Well, Ian does not raise here with the flush draw. Had he done so, I think Atherton would have made a heavy bet there. Let's see what happens. Now a jack comes off. This gives Frazer a straight draw as well. A 10 would give him a straight. A spade will give him a flush. A king will give him the best hand.
Well, you know Frazer's not going anywhere.
14,000.
Atherton's bet 14,000 here. Will Frazer make what we call a semi-bluff here with this kind of drawing hand?
Player of the year. I don't know, is it of the year or what?
I'll vote for you.
I'll have played a cash session this year. He's so busy traveling.
Now, Ian just does call. He does not come over the top with his drawing hand.
He's got plenty of outs. King would give Frazer the winning hand as well.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna try to do it every year.
Well, a 5 comes off. Well, that's not going to do it for Ian. The only way he could win this pot would be to bluff at it, but we know that's not going to work because Atherton's got the overpair.
3 weeks ago, and they had some conflict their license or something.
You know when they're gonna open? Because my charity one's there.
I think in 3 weeks' time they were telling me a poker in the park.
Lee Atherton not satisfied with the pot size. That's a good trait in a poker player. Try and make some more money.
Well, he's hoping Frazer's got one pair and is going to pay him off here. Tries to get a value bet in here at the river, but no way Ian's going to call.
Is it like a British?
Fancy time.
Yeah, it's the British Poker Awards. I think there's
Ian Frazer got out of that pot about as cheap as possible, wouldn't you say?
I agree. So far, everything rolling down the right track for Ian Frazer. He's on fire.
I didn't think it wasn't totally necessary to do the cold 4-bet in the first place for me. He loves doing them hero plays. Yeah.
Well, I was sitting around Daniel Negreanu and Doyle Brunson one day, and they were talking about all these young kids 4-betting and 5-betting. And Doyle says, Daniel, he said, I'm going to lay you 100 to 1 that if I ever 5-bet one of these young guys or 4-bet them, that they're going to have to outdraw me. He said, do you want it 100 to 1? Said, I'm laying you 100,000 to 1,000. Daniel Negreanu did not take the bet.
That's good.
Doyle is old school. He comes from down in Texas. And when they 2 or 3-bet there, they showed you aces or kings down there.
Well, Frazer's raised this in the cutoff, Mike, and Sam Trickett's called from the small blind. So these two have played a pot already together, and here they go again.
Now here's a flop that helps neither player. It's come 10-4-3. Now the queen comes off. So Trickett caught the only card that would give him the best hand here on the turn.
And Frazer's going to be interested with the up and down straight draw.
You guys did it right.
Check. 8,000.
Sam Trickett's elected to check this twice. Now, does he mean to raise?
Well, this could be the check raise, no question about it.
Raised 22,000.
And he does raise it to 22,000.
One for the good guys.
Well, he lays it down. What a lay down by Ian there. And right now he's kicking himself, saying, why didn't I just take a free card off there?
Oh, you're right.
Well, that's knowing your man, but you can check the top pair on the turn there.
You're right.
And they both checked on the flop, and all of a sudden he checked again, just knowing Ian Frazer doesn't have the instincts to check twice in a row. He just can't do it. It's not in his blood.
One thing about poker is that when a guy is in form, he just seems to know everything that's going to happen before it does. They never make a mistake. I think Sam Trickett, one of those guys, you know, the big win at the World Series, then going chip leader in Villamora just recently. He says everything is clicking. He's just in the zone.
Yeah.
Call.
Atherton makes a 2,000 to go, quickly called by Trickett's King 10 of diamonds.
You know, Mike, I admire Atherton's gumption, but this kind of table and him being a little bit inexperienced, if he plays these, keeps playing these kind of hands, he's going to get himself in big pots.
Well, I think the disadvantage he's going to have is playing post-flop. Well, here's a case where Sam Trickett won't be going anywhere. He's flopped a nut flush draw and a straight draw. So we're going to see who's going to take the initiative here. Trickett is checked.
Check.
Akenhead has got second pair with top kicker. They've checked around to Atherton.
15,000.
But he's going to make that continuation bet that he's all heard about and sees everybody else doing to work at success. Well, the question is Sam Trickett going to raise it or not? Definitely going to play the pot, but I can't see him not check raising here.
Raised.
And he does raise it
To 34,000.
34,000.
by the end of the years. You know.
Very smart play, isn't it? Because it's going to clear Akenhead, who actually has the best hand right now out of the pot.
Well, you can't call a raise and a re-raise when there's an ace out there when you have a pair of queens.
In every satellite.
Unless you just think Trickett is at it again. And you could drive off the guy that may have a middle and ace, but Akenhead gives it up, but he had a hunch about that. So Sam Trickett going to take down the pot yet again. The players don't know what he had there. All they see is another re-raise by the guy to take down the pot.
Bully, bully, bully. And it's working.
Tricky Trickett on the move in the right direction. Now the chip leader.
It might have won half the hands we've played so far, Sam Trickett. He's not far off.
He's had a couple pretty good hands at this table and made a couple pretty good moves at this table.
Can you hear us over there?
It's a good thing. Let's listen to the commentary.
3 T's.
Well, Atherton picking up a monster here. He's got the 2 kings now, and he's going to raise it to 6,000. Uh-oh. Well, Sam Trickett could trip himself up here. He's got a nice hand, 2 nines. Doesn't re-raise with this one.
And that's the difference between a reckless player and a great player. I mean, how does he know? How did he know? And how did he find a way not to get all his money in early here with the nines? He's playing the edges, this guy.
Check.
Well, flop comes 6, 4, 3 of hearts. So Atherton has the overpair, the 2 kings, but not happy to see all those hearts out there. Trickett has an overpair and a flush draw, but obviously his overpair not good enough. But still, you might see him making a move here.
Cool.
He's just calling. And Jetten has got second pair and a straight draw, but with all those hearts out there, opts to exit.
Well, Lee Atherton.
You guys battle this one out?
My guess is his heart's going a thumpity thump thump.
Oh, the king of hearts comes off. Look at this. Atherton has made 3 kings. Trickett has made a flush. This is unbelievable here.
Lee has to be very careful here where he's decided to check.
And he's checking because he knows Trickett called him on the flop, may have a heart in his hand. Another pot will be going to Sam Trickett. Unbelievable. He's taken 2 nines and outdrawn 2 kings when his opponent made 3 kings.
20,000.
Yeah. Atherton was kind of half hoping for the king, but not the king of hearts.
Well, he's bet 20,000 here.
Trickett's thinking it was a funny sort of bet, wasn't it? A little too big to be an offensive bet.
Well, he's made the call. Atherton turns up 3 kings, but it's not going to be good enough as Sam Trickett has made a flush.
Unbeatable. Sam Trickett, he's finding a way to win every pot, and everybody's looking over at Sam Trickett right now. They said, we've seen you re-raise 6 times already, and then we saw you call with the nines. What are you doing? Well, they've played a level, Mike, and Sam Trickett, he is out in front, and he deserves it.
Well, no question about it. He's caught the cards, but he's also playing very tricky. I like Sam Tricky Trickett. Well, let me tell you how you get to the winner circles in poker tournaments. You play well and you run well. Sam Trickett doing both of those things right here, right now.
Well, you can see Ian Frazer has just left his seat temporarily. The game goes on, and Mad Marty Wilson there stepping in to fold Frazer's hand for him. In this beautiful Palm Beach casino, you know, players get up. Sometimes they've got some business to attend to in the gaming table behind or the restroom or something.
Well, Fleyshman has raised it to 10,000, but that doesn't slow Trickett down. He makes the call with the ace-5 of spade.
And from the small blind, boy, he's going to be a tough customer, this Trickett.
Well, he's hit 2 aces here. Fleyshman does have the straight draw, but as the cards lie, Trickett out front. Now, even though you have top pair here, You got a weak kicker, and you're always a little bit leery.
No, they can't trade his hand now. You can do what you like.
Now the deuce of hearts comes off.
Check.
And again, Sam checks. Well, Fleyshman is going to continue to represent a bigger hand than he has, that's for sure.
Well, it's not a bad idea, is it, Mike? I mean, if Trickett did have a pair of kings or something, he's definitely folding now. And even if he had an ace with a weak kicker, what he does have, not guaranteed to call. But what do you think now?
I'll tell you, I think it's very hard to make a call here with an ace-5 when your opponent bets at this hand twice. Now a king comes off.
Check.
So Sam is checked. This guy's going to fire a third shell here. Unbelievable how much heart that Fleyshman's showing here after getting called on the flop and on the turn with that board.
Not just a shell, that was a mortar. The only thing is he did it so quick.
Well, this is be an unbelievable call if Trickett could make this call.
He can't, can he? He can't. Nobody can make this call.
I don't think so. I really don't.
No, you don't have a king.
I mean, Fleyshman never took his foot off the gas. He raised pre-flop, barrel, barrel, barrel. And right now,
he looks very relaxed, too.
If Trickett makes this call and loses, he is going to have, his chip lead will have evaporated. All the work he's done will be gone. I can't believe he'd do it. I can't believe it.
He's got the 80,000 in his hand. Will he release it?
He can do what he likes.
He's sick.
This is unbelievable. Folks, I'm telling you one thing. How a guy can make that call with 2 aces and a 5 in this spot, the way this hand is gone, bet, bet, bet. Take your hat off. I don't care where he comes out in this heat. Give him a piece of this trophy today.
I mean, did you see James Akenhead's face? He couldn't believe it. He said, what kind of call was that?
Oh, I seen that, yeah.
What kind of call was that?
Went to the World Series and I was really looking forward to it, really confident that I was going to do well because I wasn't going to go out like partying as much as I did in the previous couple of years. And I was really focused. And I got off to a good start, got a few cashes, and then I come second for like $500,000 in one tournament. I was a little bit unlucky, heads up not to win it. And then I had a few more deep runs in the series, ended up cashing for around like $700,000. And then just recently, I came fourth in the EPT where I was an unlucky fourth really. I felt like I played well enough to at least get heads up, but I lost like 8 out of 8 all-ins, so there's nothing more I could have done really. The poker scene in England is unbelievable at the minute, especially for the next few months. It's like a little mini Vegas at the minute. All the big players are here, all the big tournaments are happening, and I feel like we've got some of the best players in the world now in England. We've got a lot of titles this year and a lot of big results as well, and I think the standard of English poker players has really come along. Yeah, I know I've got a few good players on the table today. Really good friends with James Akenhead and Neil. They're my good friends. I know Dan Fleyshman as well. He's another good friend that I met through at one of the televised events. And I know Ian. I know everyone. I'm all friendly with them all, but like James is a really close friend. Like everyone knows, I've had a lot of final tables this year and a lot of near misses where I haven't really got a title. So I'd just like to just win something now. I feel like I've got a title, if you like. So like, yeah, I just want to win something now because it's starting to stress me out, coming like thirds and fourths and seconds. So it would mean a lot to me.
Welcome back to the Party Poker World Open 6, where we're still 8-handed, but Sam Trickett has taken an early chip lead. Let's get back to the action.
Trickett has virtually doubled up, Mike, without having to play an all-in hand. He's just won everything.
Yeah, so far, playing well, running well, and making an incredible decision a moment ago in the key pot so far at this table.
Pass, pass, pass. Cool.
You know, the great thing about a great river call, Mike, is if you're wrong, you really have egg on your face, and Trickett took that chance there. He would have looked like the stupidest man alive if Fleyshman had turned over aces full.
We just said, what was he thinking about calling with that weekend? As it is, you just praise the guy. Well, here comes a king 8-5 flop. Jetten out in front with bottom pair right now.
Yeah, Neil Channing's just limped on the button here. That brought in the blinds.
And Jetten going to lead out and bet bottom pair here. Pretty impressive bet. Fleyshman goes out, but Channing might not be so willing to give it up.
Well, does he read Jetten's bet as weak?
Well, I think he thinks Jetten's got
Raise.
second pair or bottom
21.
pair. I think he's put him exactly on what he's got. He's going to try to represent that he's got 2 kings here and take this pot down.
Well, he's represented it in my book. Unless Jetten thinks to himself, hey, if he had a king, if he really had a king, wouldn't he just call me?
Well, what you're really thinking is, geez, maybe this guy slow played a big hand pre-flop.
Yeah.
Well, Jetten is ready just perfectly here. He makes the call with the 2 5s. Let's see how much more heat he can stand.
We are seeing yet again these guys take it up a couple levels. And is Neil Channing willing to invest more on the bluff?
Well, now a 4 comes off. Now that card, believe it or not, is a scare card, just in case Jetten had a 6-7 in his hand and had a straight draw.
Wow.
Well, Channing just convinced the guy's got like a pair of 8s or a pair of 5s here,
31.
and he's going to fire again. Channing's radar perfect on this hand. Jetten's has been so far. Let's see if he continues with his poker instincts that he's got the best hand.
This is an impressive to and fro from both these players. No, he's not.
I'm wowed by this.
You can only make this call if you're Peter Jetten, Mike, if you suspect what's going on is exactly what's going on.
This is incredible. Now the board is paired 8s.
Check.
I give up.
Well, yeah. Neil gives up because he's afraid his opponent's got an 8 in his hand. Instead, he had a 5 in his hand. I feel both players played that hand perfectly.
Maybe one more.
I don't know. If you wanted to fire that one more,
Maybe
it
one
might have
more.
looked really bad.
Have a look at the chips. Some players started with 300,000, Mike, and I'll tell you what, it's been a long day so far for a couple of these guys.
Well, it has been, but everybody's still got chips. Everybody's still in the hunt.
Blinds will be going up now to 3 and 6,000, so even Fleyshman on the short stack, he's still got 25 big blinds. He can play.
Pass.
Action around to Sam Trickett.
Raise to
He's
12,000.
going to raise it with the
total.
king 5 of hearts. Again, the min raise to 12,000.
I wonder if Sam Trickett's one of these alternate level guys, Mike. He raised every pot the first level, basically took the second level off, and now here at the start of the third, he's on his horse.
Well, Marty Smyth going to give him some action. Makes the call with the ace-10. Now we're around to Jetten in the blind. He's got the suited connectors, the jack-10 of clubs, so he makes the call.
And it was, you know, some people would have said that's a classic squeeze situation there in the big blind to a loose raiser and a caller.
Check.
Well, Marty Smyth has flopped 2 aces. He's got the lead. Jetten is checked.
2,000.
This time, Trickett going to make a continuation bet. But that's not going to work because Marty has flopped a pair of aces.
Well, Marty's going to be a little careful here. He knows that Jetten's in the big blind behind him. Do you call here and give Jetten a chance to come in as well, or do you make a little raise?
Call.
I just call. There is a chance your opponent could have ace-jack, ace-queen, possibly have you beat, but if you raise there and he re-raises you, well, look at this card. The 10 of hearts comes off. This gives Trickett the nut flush draw as well as the straight draw. Marty Smyth now with 2 pair. There is a possibility we could see some fireworks here.
I'd say that was built for action.
Trickett is going to reach for chips.
37,000.
And it's a very aggressive play that Trickett's made here, Mike, because if Marty Smyth does raise, he could find himself in a situation where he's not going to get to see the river. If he checks, he always gets to see it.
There's no chance he's not going to see the river card here.
Okay.
Forget about that.
It's funny how those things work, you know.
If If Marty raises here, which I'm sure he will,
You never, at the time, you think it.
there's a good chance Trickett could just come right back over the top for all his money with this kind of hand.
Whatever, you make something and then you never think that you're gonna.
Well, Marty counted out a raise. Then he decided to do away with the red chips. Let's go green.
Raised.
Well, he has raised it. And it's a $90,000 raise. But even with that raise, I don't see Trickett going anywhere. Over 200,000 in the pot. Cost him 90,000 more to call, but he knows he's going to get implied odds here. Meaning if he hits his hand, he's going to get all the rest of Marty Smyth's chips. Marty never getting away from this hand. Doesn't matter what comes up on the river.
Yeah, when you've put it like that, Matt, Mike, I actually cannot see Trickett folding here. The price he's being laid is too nice, and he is drawing to the nuts.
It's not just the 2-to-1 he was getting there. It's all those other chips he's got. Well, the deuce comes off. And a great card for Marty Smyth. So Marty Smyth is going to win a nice pot here.
All in.
Trickett is checked, and Marty has moved all in, and no way Sam's going to call. Throws his hand away.
And with that pot, Marty Smyth vaulting up the leaderboard. He's in second position. He looks good, and this Irishman knows how to handle himself at this table.
Was putting king prawns on the
Yeah, these young guys, they eat, sleep, and breathe poker. Here's Trickett. He's breathing the ace-king right now.
Well, here he's got a hand he's not getting away from. I don't care who raises it.
They say, oh, the button's a great place to pick up a big hand. I'll tell you what, under the gun's a great place to pick up a big hand because nobody believes that Trickett has anything.
Call.
Well, Jetten's going to make the call with the queen 10 of spade here. Heel Channing folded the king jack, and a wise fold it was. No, Ian Frazer going to take a flop as well.
Yes, Fleyshman on the button with the 5-7 suited. We're multi-way.
Ian Frazer just calling with ace-queen here, not re-raising, and lucky for him he didn't, because I don't see Sam Trickett going anywhere.
That's not too much respect for Sam Trickett. Even Lee Atherton in the big blind.
With the deuce 4. Well, this flop could spell big, big trouble for Ian Frazer.
How about Fleyshman and Jetten? They both got flush draws. We're losing a player here, Mike.
Well, you're right. We're going to see some heavy fireworks here. Trickett's got the best hand with 2 aces. Fleyshman's got a flush draw and a straight draw. Jetten's got a flush draw. Frazer's got top pair with second kicker. Whoa!
I think the guy who's going to come out of this pot the best, or I think the guy who's going to come out of this pot the second best is Lee Atherton. He's not going to lose anything.
Well, Ian Frazer's going to come out the best because there's a chance he can get away from this hand.
Trickett's bet 36,000 in. Jetten's called, and here comes Fleyshman.
Yeah, Fleyshman's going to raise it. I think that raise is going to save Ian Frazer from getting involved in this pot. There's a good chance he would have come right over the top had Fleyshman just called here with his ace-queen thinking it was the best hand. As it is, I think Ian Frazer can get away from this hand. It's been bet, called, and raised.
The fascinating thing, Mike, as well, is that Fleyshman may have turned his hand pretty live because if Trickett gets all his chips in, Jetten can't call. You could actually make a case for Trickett folding this hand.
I could. The way this hand's been played.
He's having a look at both his men. I think he's looking a little more at Jetten right now than Fleyshman. Fleyshman's hand.
Well, I'm sure he's putting one of these guys on a flush draw.
Right.
But he's fearful that Fleyshman has 3 6s here where he's virtually drawing dead.
All in.
But forget about it. Throwing it away. He's moved all in with the ace-king.
Like he's just trying to get all the numbers straight in his head.
Yeah. The numbers add up to being chip leader if you gamble here and hit this hand. Otherwise, you know you're going out. Well, he lays it down.
My fold is very good for you.
It is Fleyshman at risk, but a big smile. He likes this spot right now. He's flipping.
Now, he's not liking it because Jetten said he had a flush draw. That takes 2 of his outs away.
Right. Yeah.
Have you know how many 8s are in the deck?
So right now, Fleyshman needs to catch an 8 to make a straight, a spade to catch a flush. Any of those things will end this pot. There's the 8. He's done it. He is doubled up. There's no card Trickett can catch to win this pot. And the 3 of diamonds comes off.
Pretty sick victory for Dan Fleyshman. And don't say he didn't get in there and gamble. What a hand that was.
This exciting table is still 8-handed, so join us after the break for more action from the World Open.
We have seen Act 1. It is now time for the plot to thicken.
I want to know where I stand when that happens, which is the reason I mentioned it. I don't want to have to
5
guess.
and 10.
Well, you always fully expect to lose a few players at this level. Let's see what happens. Well, here comes Marty Smyth. He's got the ace-10.
Channing, having a think. What's he got? 2 6s.
Well, he lays down the 6s.
How many? 24.
And wisely so, as Frazer's got 2 jacks, but just calls. I am puzzled by that.
Well, Frazer's on.
Oh, and look at this. Atherton has picked up a pair of 10s.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, he could easily make a raise here, thinking the 2 10s would be the best hand. Marty was the original raiser, but Ian Frazer did not raise, so surely you don't think he can beat 2 10s, even though, in fact, he can. Well, Atherton's just called with the 10s. And now, because of the price that Sam Trickett is getting, he's got the ace-3 of hearts. He could well get involved in this pot as well.
I'm really puzzled about Ian Frazer's, and not that he called here, but did he call because he was trying to trap, or did he call because he thought if he commits his whole stack, he's only going to get action if he's in terrible shape from Marty Smyth? I'm not sure.
Well, maybe he wants to see if an ace, king, or a queen comes off on the flop, and here comes the king. It's come king 8-7. What do you do now with 2 jacks if your opponent bets at you?
Right now, no one likes their hand.
Well, Atherton is checked. And Marty Smyth is going to make the continuation bet, and this is going to cause great problems for Ian Frazer.
Marty Smyth, I was thinking exactly what you said. You know, it doesn't look good, but I raised pre-flop. There's 82,000 in there. What the hey? Have a little of this, boys.
And Ian Frazer gets rid of the 2 jacks. That's the problem when you don't raise pre-flop. If an overcard comes out there and the original raiser bets, what do you do now?
Frazer just had a feeling that Marty Smyth wouldn't have been raising light.
And the 2 10s went out as well. So the continuation bet getting out both pairs, the jacks and the 10s biting the dust, and Marty Smyth takes down that pot, and there's no way he should have won that pot. One of those 2 guys should have raised pre-flop.
Mike, what won that pot for Marty Smyth was not his hand, it's his reputation.
I'm going to lie to him, you just tell me later on.
Marty Smyth, professional poker player, former Irish Open champion, among other things, World Series of Poker Championship bracelet holder. You're coming in here to play the World Open. How are you feeling about your heat?
I didn't feel too good about it whenever I saw the lineup. I mean, it's probably the toughest table I've ever been at, I think, but it's going okay for me so far, yeah. I feel comfortable enough, I guess.
It's funny because pretty much everyone has said that too. So it's like there are no soft spots really at the table because everyone's looking at it going, you know what, I feel like I've got one of the toughest heats.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved it if it turned up and there was, 7 guys I didn't recognise. But tables like this kind of get your juices going as well, if you know what I mean. It's it's more of a challenge to play against guys like these, and you learn a lot as well. There's some really good hands so far. Peter Jetten and Lee Atherton, like that's going to make for pretty good TV.
And I imagine a lot of you guys know each other quite well. from the tournament circuit and the poker scene over here. So a lot of banter at the table, a lot of joshing back and forth.
Yeah, you kind of forget that we're playing under the cameras and stuff. We could just be sitting in it's probably some of the things we're saying that you can't show on TV. But yeah, it's been really good crack. Yeah.
This passage of play, Mike, until we see a player or two get knocked out, is going to feature small raises, all ins, and a lot of raise and take-its, no flops. 24,000 from under the gun with the king-queen suited.
Make sure they're still the same.
One thing Channing does get is respect.
And deservedly so. Now folded around Sam Trickett, but he's got the Butchers of Baghdad. He's got the two kings. And he's looking to butcher up Neil Channing a little bit right here.
Is this a slow play? Is there a reason to slow play here, I wonder?
I don't think so. And the reason I say that is you just hate to give your opponent a free flop, and it would be free for now on if he just called here. Scared an ace might pop up there. Now if he bet, what do you do with kings? I'd raise there too. Trickett did just that. Made it 54,000 to go. You could take those long prices. He'll be the first one hitting the rail. He's making the call here.
Wow. This is gambling.
And if he hits any kind of draw or a queen, Neil Channing can be the first one out of here. Well, it's come 7-5-3. This a hand Neil might be able to get away from pretty easy. He has checked it to Trickett, who I'm sure will bet. It's 123,000 in the pot.
Sure, because if you're Trickett right now, Mike, right, you're thinking Channing could easily have the tens, the jacks, the queens, something like that, where we're going to get all the money in on the flop.
42.
He's giving Neil Channing the rope to hang himself with, but Neil throws the rope out the boat with the bathwater.
He did bet a small bet into that pot, only 40,000 into a pot with 120,000 in it.
Should have stuck with my first instinct.
Well, sometimes you're lucky you missed the flop. This was one of those times for Neil Channing. If it would have come queen high, it would have been bye-bye Neil.
Jetten, first to speak. Canadian lays him down.
Well, not nearly as many moves being made now that the blinds have gone up. Because as you said, it jeopardizes a lot of your chips. You have to make a larger raise, another large continuation bet, so you can really jeopardize a lot of chips if you start making moves here with no hands.
Well, quick all in from Channing, and he's in trouble.
Well, Trickett's quickly called. So Neil Channing with an ace-8 up against the ace-jack of Sam Trickett.
If I do it last time.
Neil saying, I should have done it before. The truth of the matter is...
He was in worse shape before.
He was.
Well, the flop has come king, king, 10. Now Neil will be happy if a 10 comes off. That would give him a split pot here.
He will
take to take the lead. There's a 9. A 9 would do it for him now as well. So he can get a chop pot if it comes 10 or 9. He needs an 8 to win the pot. A queen comes off. Sam Trickett has made Broadway the ace-high straight. It's going to get the job done. And highly unexpected, Neil Channing, the first one out at this final table.
Well, Trickett has had a loose reputation at this table, but he had the goods that time and was quick to call Channing.
Yeah, but I didn't mind a big clash there. I didn't want a split pot.
And Neil goes out in 8th.
And first off, out of our heat here, this very difficult heat, is Neil Channing. We're sorry to see you go. Tough day at the table.
Yeah, I didn't really. I made a bit of a move early on Peter. That didn't seem to work. I came back from the break with the intention of shoving over the top of Sam and James, really. And first chance I got, I'm here talking to you.
You won't see this often. Neil Channing first out. Sam Trickett, the man in form, is stupendous. As for the rest, no problems. Smyth, Frazer, they've been here before.
It's been an action-packed heat here at the World Open 6, and there's plenty more action still to come. Join us next time when we find out who will be the next player to sit down at our final table and be in with a shot of winning some of that $480,000 prize pool at the Palm Beach Casino in London.
You look pretty happy about that. Oh, you tilted now. You can afford it.
I knew I had you last time when you give it a verbal.
I'm a nit.
You're a right call exposure, isn't you?
I never fold, mate, ever. You were struck out.
Oh!